This isn't just a podcast. It's a reminder of what makes America stronger isn't a headline or a hashtag.
It's people, from the ones building our homes to the ones rebuilding their lives.
Veterans, tradesmen, neighbors, and volunteers. Real people doing real things.
Here we find common ground first, and then we work on our differences.
This is the Collective Perspective Podcast,
where purpose, people, and progress meet.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Collective Perspective Podcast. My name is Jeff, and I'm here with my best friend Trav. What's up, Trav?
What's up, Jeff? What's up, everybody out there? Welcome back. Glad to be here again in the studio.
So today's topic is kind of a tough pill to chew. Or do you actually, I guess the saying is a tough pill to swallow.
You don't want to chew pills. That would be kind of gross. that would be tough.
Create some trauma in your life. Chew a pill. That's pretty bad. But anyway, it's when you can forgive someone and still choose not to keep them close. Understanding relationship capacity, family priority, boundaries, and even distance when distance becomes healthy. Yeah,
you know, there is an old saying out there, distance makes the heart grow fonder, so maybe sometimes distance is good for you.
Travis, have you ever heard the term Dunbar's number?
Not previously. I've not heard that. I have no idea what that means.
So what it is that an philanthropist, did I say that word right? Anthropologist, Robin Dunbar, studied primates and the complexity of their relationships and suggests that humans can only maintain 150 meaningful relationships with some limits to some emotional depth.
Okay. That sounds like 150 people. I don't know. Is that a lot? Is that too few? Because I know we come in contact with much more than that throughout our lives.
Well, there's what they call layers. You can call them categories. You can call them layers. But these layers exist, and each one of them require emotional energy. The closer it gets to your core center.
So there is some depth to it.
What I found fascinating about this topic, Travis, is that if there's only 150 people that you could have an emotional relationship to some type of layer or level, then where does social media come into play when you have 15,000 friends?
Do you really have 15,000 friends? I mean, I guess how close are they? I wouldn't think social media would be anywhere near being close to your core or your center. That's just something, a facade, something you put on for other people.
So when they talk about layers, it's really 5 people you can pick or choose. Obviously, you can have a bigger inner circle. Obviously, if you have a bigger family, if you have a family of 7, then your inner circle will be bigger. But relatively speaking, we're just talking about you as a parent and your kids. And that's about it, right?
Parent, spouse, kids.
But it does change, Travis, because when you don't have family and you have a caretaker that comes by, you used to do that, right? So you used to come by and you were that person's level 1, believe it or not. The ones that talked to you about inner depth things and like had emotional conversations with you, did you not have some of those?
Yeah, I had a couple, and I think in the nature of the work I'm in, we do develop some pretty deep relationships or contacts, if you will, pretty quickly. So would they be my inner circle? No, but would they consider me part of theirs? Possibly, yeah.
Most definitely. So where I kind of find it heart-wrenching is when your parents are no longer in your inner circle or your kids are no longer in your inner circle.
So how would that work? Do your kids? Well, I guess that's almost kind of self-defining there. As you grow up and move out, you're no longer in that close proximity. You're not there every day with each other. Is that kind of where you're going with this?
I think it's a choice. Obviously, you get to choose who's in your inner circle, right? You get to choose that if you don't live in the same household, how often you make contact with this person. So, for example, I know, I know one friend was telling me, and in preparing for this, was that his sister talks to their mom every day of her life, and they don't live in the same city. But what it comes down to is that it's an emotional thing. It's not necessarily anything but that. So it could be your dog. It could be, you have 5 core people or more, obviously, if you have a bigger family, that you have this emotional daily, that's the key word, daily emotional relationship. And that is your inner circle. Sometimes that daily inner relationship does involve coworkers and your best friends, and sometimes they get more attention than your family yourself, right? The people at work get a lot more of your attention, dedicated attention to them, where you might want to have some alone time at home. You may want to spend all your waking hours with your kids and family, but that gets difficult.
So
Where it becomes difficult is when a parent and a child's relationship shifts, right? And it could be done over time. It could be done intentionally, but when the child moves out, and this is very common, the child moves out, but let's say another sibling stays with and lives close, maybe lives down the block, or maybe even in the same house as your parents, and they have that daily emotional relationship with your parents, and those other kids that move away don't have that because of many factors. It could be time zone. We all have our daily lives that just get so quick. It was like we were just talking about off camera, where, man, today was just like a whirlwind of just one thing right after the other, and I didn't even have time to text my wife to say I love you today, if that was something that you do.
yeah, no, and I see that. So yeah, move when someone moves from your inner circle to say the next level of contact, what would that next layer be?
That's called a close support circle. And so that's like lifelong friends. I would consider you a lifelong friend, but I consider you in my inner circle because we talk on a regular basis every week. Yeah, it's not a daily thing, but we're there for each other daily, and we're available if needed to be there daily. But even that, that's where I put you. You don't necessarily have to have all your lifelong friends in your circle where you contact them daily. It's because you trust them deeply, but you don't interact with them daily. That's the next level. That's where a lot of parents go to when the child moves up and has their own family, and they're just inundated with their own daily life.
So it almost sounds like these layers or these circles of contact or of interaction people can go from one level to another and back to the other level, depending on how close they are or how much time they want to invest in the relationship.
I always said, like, hey, I'm going to try to call my parents on a weekly basis. I don't know. I'm not always good at that. And I wish I was better. And I'll make a conscious effort to try to do better. But that kind of involuntarily moves them out of my inner circle. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're not in my close support network, because if I needed them, I can call them and have a conversation.
I agree with that statement. I don't call or contact my parents nearly as often as I should. It's usually, maybe once a month, but it's not like there's still that close support, because when we do get together or when we do talk, we pick up right where we left off.
I don't want to spend too much time on social media, but one thing that I wanted to talk about is that, and we did talk about social media a little bit, is that these are people that you know of, but you don't have any relational connection with them.
No emotional ties.
And there's nothing wrong with that. A lot of it's just like, hey, see what I'm doing, especially in the field that I'm in. So, I have a lot of clients. I would say that I have, on average, probably more than 150 people easily. But, people fall in and out of your memory too. So like, I'm starting to forget people's names when I see their picture. Yeah.
So that's just what's that? Face recognition. Like if you saw them, you would probably remember them, but you may not remember the name.
So why does all this matter? Do you ever wonder why I brought this up, Travis?
Yeah. Why did you bring this up?
When your inner circle overflows, everything outside of it feels heavier. So social media tricks us into believing that we have a bandwidth that's unlimited, but our brains are not evolved to handle thousands of emotional connections. Does that make sense?
It does make sense.
That's just not the human brain. More contact doesn't mean more connection. Like you talk to people on a daily basis. I talk to people. There's some people that I have a level of connection with, and some of them, it's just really just a transaction. And it's not that I don't like you. It's just like I used to say like, hey man, come on out and hang out meet some new people. Like, well, I want to meet new people for clients, but as far as like, no, I'm good. I got plenty. I have my inner circle. I'm completely satisfied with who I have in my inner circle. My close nets of friends, like I have all of those people that if I just needed to, kind of lay some emotions down on or run an idea by, those are my decision-making help friends, right?
Right. You don't necessarily need that to be a big circle.
The value of a relationship to me isn't measured by its length. It's measured by the peace that it brings.
That's very good. Yeah.
Forgiveness is one of those things too, because you were talking about like how you could have someone that goes in and out at multiple different levels, right? So is that what you were thinking that?
That's something what I was thinking about is, so say you have a sibling that's not in the same area, but is somewhat close by, and you just don't really have that contact or that connection as deep as it was. It could be there, but it's not. That's what I mean by going back and forth between the circles.
I think what this all kind of pertains or circles back to is envy and jealousy, isn't it, Travis?
Yeah, I think it does, because some family members could be envious or even jealous of losing something, and have some sort of negative emotional response to it that's not good for that whole relationship.
Well, this is kind of where I think, we agreed that envy and jealousy are two different things, but I think it could be in a family matter, like the example I gave you earlier, was that, you have sometimes one family member, a sibling stays behind, lives near the family or possibly lives with them. You're envious of them having that level one connection with your parents that you didn't have or you don't have. But I guess in a way you kind of feel jealous because
there is a connection that you could lose, or you feel like you could lose
even further, right? The fear of losing them, I think you've already lost that level one connection. I think it can be mended though. But then again, if there's a reason why you have a falling out with someone that was in your level one, there has to be a reason. And forgiveness cleans your heart, but boundaries protect it. Forgiveness makes peace possible, and boundaries keep peace protected.
Look at you with them big sayings. Those are good. No, I like that. Forgiveness makes peace possible, but boundaries, we need to set boundaries. I mentioned it earlier during this talk that you have to set some boundaries sometimes. So with forgiveness, if you're going to forgive someone, what's one thing that you can do to help maybe realize that forgiveness? Sometimes taking a step back from the situation and looking at it from a different angle might be a way to visualize how each of you could do something different.
I agree. Sometimes you have to step back to protect your own peace, because at the end of the day, at the end of your life, that's what you have. You go alone, and you have to have some type of inner peace. You can't possibly have someone, I don't think necessarily everybody is toxic, but some people are just exhausting. Let's put it that way.
Exhausting. That's a good way to put it. No, there are plenty of people that can be exhausting.
It's like, I love you, but man, like the way that you act or the way that you make me feel or your lack of response to my messages to you is something that maybe, it wasn't the straw that broke the camel's back.
Right.
It's usually, and I'm guilty of it too, I let emotions build up, and now I have, here's another saying, a mountain out of a molehill. I've just created this huge ant pile. Here's another one. I just created this huge ant pile, and the ants are pissed off.
Sometimes you just got to say Goosefrau.
Goosefrau. But protecting your inner peace protects your family and your children, your closest relationships. One of the things I don't want to do is have one of my dysfunctions change or alter the life of my children's dysfunctions. So the things that I'm going through on a personal basis that, like this heavy topic, I would say, is not for everybody in your family. I have to protect those people that are, grandparents and kids. I think you have to kind of be consistent with kids, right?
Okay.
Because kids will kind of see you coming in and go in and out of their lives. But if anybody out there has kids, that knows that routine makes a healthy kid. It starts like, hey, I'm putting my infant to bed at this time every night and being dedicated to that. And I think a lot of that, that's protecting your family with some type of routine. So the grandparent that comes around every 5 years, and I'm not saying all grandparents are like that, but the grandparent that is absent for many years and then kind of comes in and out of their lives is kind of confusing to kids, I would say.
I think it can be. And, this is a larger topic that I've noticed throughout my life, is that the American culture isn't like it is in the rest of the world when it comes to family dynamics. A lot of families over here, as soon as you're 18, you got to move out. You got to find a job. You got to get your own place. You got to do this. You got to do that. A lot of cultures in other parts of the world, they say, oh, you're 18? Okay. Well, yeah, you can get a job. You don't have to leave. You can either go to school and further your education, or whatever you're doing, you're going to contribute to this household. And this household isn't just the parents or the grandparents, it's everybody's household. So everyone kind of stays close by or even in the same house in other cultures around the world. So I think that for us, to have a grandparent that only shows up on special occasions or something like that, it can be confusing to kids. But like I said, in other cultures, those people are always in their life, so they kind of stay more than just an not just an inner circle, but that close level of relationship with them. And when you have that parent or grandparent that only comes in for holidays or special occasions, they expect to be immediately put back in there in that close circle or inner circle, and they're still kind of on the outside of that. They haven't quite made it all the way in. And it sounds like an odd thing to say that family could be in that position. But like I said, it takes more effort to move up in the levels and to level up.
I know personally, at the age that I have kids, my kids will probably be in my level 1 a lot longer. But I can tell you right now, I would choose to, at that age, I would try everything in my power, not to be controlling by any means, but to have some type of emotional connection. I can tell you from personal experience that, and I don't care to put it out there because I think being vulnerable just makes this show even more true. But
yeah,
my older daughter, divorced from her mother for several years now, over a decade.
Oh, God, I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. But I feel bad. I feel it's not by choice, and it's not her choice either. But, when you live on the other side of town and your kid lives 45 minutes from you and they're busy going to school, they got their work life, they're doing what you did when you were 18.
Being a kid and hanging out with their friends, they have different priorities.
It's tough because you could even be living in your parents' household and be so distanced, like my kids don't want to, I hardly ever see them. And they become start of that. I think, Travis, that really just scares the crap out of me. And it just breaks my heart to know that I'll always be there for my daughter. And if she's watching this episode, I want her to know that, I want you to be my level 1. I'm not always good at trying to message you every day, and I don't know if you necessarily want your dad messaging you every day, so.
Is that too clingy?
Is that too clingy? Is that not the cool thing to do? But deep down inside, I think about her every day, and I pray about her every day, and I love her daily, even though that daily interaction isn't there. So, but back to knowing when it's time to let go. It's time to let go with this episode. We're going a little bit over time, but if protecting your peace feels like a fight, you're protecting it from the wrong person.
That's deep. Wow. No, seriously. Peace shouldn't be a fight from close ones.
No, I think what I can gather from that is if protecting your peace feels like a fight, it's because that person's not willing to give up on the relationship. Doesn't, there's more heart or more love into it than you maybe think there is. And if it becomes an argument, I don't know, I guess marriages can be like that, right? It seems like a fight, and usually it's it's not a mutual thing, right? Divorce is usually one party is that's it, and it's time to move on. And I don't know, maybe it's not, if the person just goes, all right, see you later, then it looks like you made the right choice. If the other person's yeah, I agree, see ya, I'm out, then that's the time to go. Maybe moving them to a different level is another thing. I don't know if you could do that with someone you're married with. You would, for God's sakes, if I would imagine that your wife or your husband would be in your level 1 all the time.
Right.
Let's hope for that. But the reason why we brought this topic up is because we want to help people. Ultimately, we want to help people realize that sometimes, and it's heart-wrenching, like I said, I don't want my kids to be in my level 2. I want them to forever be in my level 1. But that's part of life, and you have to find your inner circle. If your parent or somebody isn't responsive to you daily and you contact them daily, then I think that's a whole different thing. But as time goes by, and I've been out of my parents' house for over 20 years.
Do we want to say how long we've been out of our parents' house?
But Travis's daughter, if you don't mind asking, just went to college. right, Trav?
Yeah, and it is different. It's but I'd say she may have moved to a level 2, say like a close person. It's not quite the inner circle, but whenever she's in town, she's inner circle. I don't want to be.
Why do you think she moved to maybe a level 2 a little bit?
Because we're not having that daily interaction.
Are you just saying that because I said that's what it was, or
I'm trying to see where it is and be honest with myself and the viewers of where it would be, because to me that level 1, level 2, that's what, up to 5 to 15-ish people. Maybe 20 if you're pushing it, but for me, I only have a handful, quite literally about 5 or 6 people that I can really rely on for that emotional connection that I can just talk about anything with. So to have her there, I'm okay with it, because I know that she will always come to me or her mom first for pretty much anything. And we're talking a lot about family right now, but there are some people that don't have family that are close like this. And I can tell you, when I joined the military, I almost felt like I didn't have family. I did. But that military closeness, when you get to your first command or your second command, and you make those connections there, and you're thousands of miles away from home, sometimes they can move up into your level 1 tier, and rely on them. You can still reach out to them. Even, I mean, Jeff's from my second big command is when I met Jeff, and here we are almost 30 years later, still going strong. It was still probably one of my best friends ever. So, there's a lot to be said for not just blood ties, but family that you make along the way.
So, like I said, the reason why we brought this up was to add something else to your mental status, the way that you look at life, the way that you see relationships, because let's face it, we all, as humans, have relationships. No matter who you all have relationships. We all have these certain boundaries. We all have this peace or this happiness that we're protecting. We all have people that we can confide in and people that we love, but at a distance. And that's completely normal.
Absolutely.
So if you like this episode, if it helped you out in any way, please share it, like, share, and subscribe.
Describe, baby.
Please put some comments below. We'd like to see some comments.
Yeah, we'd like to grow as well.
So, hey, thanks for watching this episode. And just to let you go, the other day I was kind of teasing my wife saying, I'm just looking out for my level 1s. And that's who you need to look out for, is your level 1s. Thanks for watching, everybody. Peace out.
Later, guys.
I was telling you, you're my level 1s.